Some pretty interesting news about the box office here, and I'm put this in the YouTube, whoever it's called, the YouTube community thing, and it's funny that the critics like, oh my god, everyone must see furoisa Mad Max Saga, and it seems that the critics they're losing. So this is the way. This is Mad Max furoisa. Apparently, the movie isn't having any legs at all. 71% drop is not pretty good for legs at all. So this movie is not having legs at all. But you know what movie is having legs? Garfield. Yes, the movie that has a 38% on Rotten Tomatoes is having better legs than a movie that has an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes. That is pretty funny. Okay, this year has been the critics' L year so far. Okay, the only success was with Doom Part 2. With, quote unquote, high rated movies always do well. They always talk about how only high rated movies on Rotten Tomatoes do well. But we can do this comparison with Garfield. Garfield had a 56% drop. And it seems that Garfield will eventually make more money than Velosa, a Mad Max Saga. So we have a comparison between Garfield and Velosa. Garfield has been winning the weekend totals. Almost rose a $600,000 difference. Likely by the end of this weekend, a Garfield will probably surpass Velosa, a Mad Max Saga. This is a big L for the critics, 100%, because this was supposed to be the big movie. Mad Max was supposed to be like one of the big movies of the year. They even spent $168 million on it, and it still is a massive box office failure. There's also a possibility that Velosa, a Mad Max Saga, might not even pass $100 million. Okay, probably will pass $100 million globally. But this is very sad numbers. This movie needs to make $425 million to break even. But it seems that there was absolutely no interest for Velosa, a Mad Max Saga, where the movie is dropping 72% from its last week, no, 71% from its last weekend. And it's not doing too well. The ratings are not super good for this movie compared to Garfield. The only reason why it's still in the green is simply because of Memorial Day. Memorial Day is giving this movie decent legs. But after Memorial Day, the movie has been doing very poorly. Dropping 71%, 51%, 46%. Obviously, it's because of the Memorial Day weekend, but it dropped 71% on a second weekend. I said this movie might be able to have some legs if people do have a word of mouth with this movie, but it seems that unlike Mad Max: Fury Road, there was no legs and word of mouth for this movie whatsoever. But you know what movie it does have a better word of mouth? Well, Garfield movie. A movie that every YouTube critic hates. You know, of course, the Rotten Tomatoes hates. That's like a Kung Fu Panda 4. It seems that the average audience does not give a crap about what these people think. Like every review of Kung Fu Panda 4 is the same. Okay? They don't try to enjoy the movie. They try to pick apart the movie. Ooh, what about this plot point? Okay, the movie was still fun to watch. It was not this bad and awful movie that they made it out to be. I watched the whole movie through and through. I have the movie on disc. Of course, it's not as good as the other Kung Fu Panda movies, obviously. I was kind of expecting that, but it was still, a decent movie. It was still like a 6 or 7 out of 10. Okay, 7 out of 10 is most people. Of course, a downgrade from a 10 out of 10, of course, is still you're pretty far bump to get over, but, Garfield is doing pretty well at the box office, despite what the Rotten Tomatoes gave Garfield and what IMDb gave it. 5.9 out of 10 and 46% on Rotten Tomatoes. This is despite the very low scores on those sites. And despite this, what did Mad Max Furoisa get? Mad Max Furoisa got 90% and is 7.9. But which movie is doing better? Well, the movie with the 46% and 5.9. It is so funny that the critics continue to take these L's this year, and it's just so funny that Garfield will likely beat Furoisa on her second weekend. Guess wokeness does not always pay. Goodbye.